ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again for episode 149 of the 815 Exchange. And well. We got a pretty big episode, all right? We got a whole lot of stuff. Honestly, this might be one of the most packed episodes of the summer, all right? We've got the last games coming up of the NBA and NHL Finals, even though it feels weird to call it the NHL Finals and not the Stanley Cup Finals. We got that. We got the track and field championships in the NCAA. We have some things to talk about in entertainment. And, of course, we have the Champions League final. It's the week of finals, all right? It's finals week. It is finals week. This past week was finals week, and, of course, we have what I'm going to talk about first, which is combat sports. So, yes, plenty to talk about. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. Channel growth, like I've been saying, has been... Love y'all. Hearts, kisses, all of it. But this is probably going to be a very long episode. Probably one of the longest in a while. Probably not going to be the 30-minute, nice little bites that we've been getting in the past couple weeks. Probably not going to be that. So, settle in, get some food, get some drinks, whatever entertainment you need to set up, throw it on the TV, whatever you need, feel free. And as always, if you just want to skip ahead to a certain part, alright, timestamps as always are provided in the description along with everything else you could possibly want in this world in the description along with my social media links if you want to follow my life outside of that. But, yes, I was back in the 704, the Prince returned, and now it's time for the 815 Exchange to return for yet another week. And we shall start with combat sports as tradition allows us to. First, boxing. Before I get to UFC, I do not remember. I'm not going to BS you and be like, yeah, I remember what number it was. No, I do not. I know it was in Canada. I know it was a major event, but I do not remember what UFC number it was. However, we're going with boxing first. Alright, we are going boxing first, and boy, oh boy. Teofimo Lopez. We've been hearing all of the Teofimo Lopez slander. I mean, all of it. All of the Teo slander. There was a lot of questions about, was he still that guy? Did he still have it? I was questioning it. I was worried about where Teo stood in terms of the power struggle in boxing and where he stood amongst, I guess, the quote-unquote four princes. Because, not that he was bad in his last performance before this, but, it was like Teo, and then we've had all this stuff going on outside of fighting. So, a lot of questions were being raised about what Teofimo Lopez was. Is he still that guy that knocked off Loma? And this was going to be the test. Now, Josh Taylor was not infallible. He was not some unbeatable, undisputed champion. No, we've seen him, honestly, probably should have lost to Jack Cantrell and lost his titles then, but nonetheless, he's still Josh Taylor, one of the best in the business, especially at 140. So what will we get? What will we get? And boy, oh boy, what a performance from the Takeover. The Takeover continues. I know he retired, but listen, it's boxing. Nobody really retires. But Teofimo Lopez gets it done. UD versus Josh Taylor wins the junior welterweight bouts. I believe it was the ring and the WBO. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know he definitely took the ring title. But yes, he took out Josh Taylor and looked great. He looked great. There's no other way to put it. He looked great. He was simply better. He outclassed Josh Taylor, and that is huge. That is huge because it reaffirms that Teofimo Lopez is still amongst the elite in the world of boxing. All of the questions, does he still got it? Does he still have that dog in him? He still does. The talent is still there. Apparently the work ethic is still there despite everything, despite all the noise, despite all of the crazy Teo's been saying. He's still Teo, alright? At the end of the day, he's still Teo. He looked comfortable. He looked a lot more relaxed at 140. It worked out for him. So yeah, the boy is back. The Takeover is back. He takes over 140. We'll see what he does next. I know he said listen, like I said, nobody's really retired in boxing. He's not walking away at 4. It's not happening. Okay? It's not happening. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, Teo gets it done versus Josh Taylor. We'll see who he goes up next. Hey, some of these big fights might be time. I'm not saying, Tank and Shaq and Haney have things to attend to at 135, but I know Haney said he was going up to 140 sooner or later, so that might be the fight to make. You know, just continue to make these big fights, but we will see. But Teo is still Teo. Let's talk about UFC 289. Amanda. The Lioness took on Irene Aldana in the latest sacrifice to the greatest women's mixed martial artist to ever live. And the greatest women's mixed martial artist to ever live retired on top. Now, this is a retirement I think that might actually stick this week in combat sports. As, yeah, Nunes works UD's Aldana. Aldana had to go to the hospital for precautionary stuff. He whooped her. She whooped her. Excuse me. It's Amanda. We know this. We've talked about this for pretty much since the inception of the show, every time she's fought. Besides the one, whatever happened versus Juliana Pena that one time before she got it back in blood. And then Juliana, listen, I don't even not like, I'm indifferent to Juliana Pena. But she's talking crazy. I guess she's trying to sell a fight. She wants to get the fight again. But you got it done once. Congratulations. But you couldn't defend it. And she beat the brakes off you, to be completely honest, for 5 rounds last time around. So listen, you don't get to say that she's ducking you, and of course she retired because she doesn't want to fight you. No, she beat you. I know the series is 1-1, but she beat you. Pretty badly. So you don't get to do the whole, she's running to retirement to avoid me. No. She's beaten you, and she's beaten everybody else. Alright? There's not even going to be a 145 division. Okay? Dana's going to retire it because there's no rankings and she's beaten everybody. Nobody is worthy. 135 also is probably not, in the greatest shape in terms of what happens next, okay? But Nunes is the GOAT. She beat everybody, even Chev. She beat Cyborg. She beat Rousey. She beat Holm. She beat literally everybody. Everybody that's in your top 5, top 10 of women's mixed martial, she beat them. She probably beat them. Or beat somebody that beat them. So it doesn't matter. She's the GOAT. She's been the GOAT for a very, very long time. And we will miss her. But I appreciate her contributions to the world of mixed martial arts. And especially for women in mixed martial arts. And I know how Rousey, of course, was the first major star. And kind of pushed that barrier. And was really, probably still to this day, the biggest superstar we've ever had in women's mixed martial arts. But Nunes also deserves, in terms of influence, deserves a seat at that round table of most influential, if not obviously in the best in Mount Rushmore, but in terms of influence and impact. What she did and the excitement, being able to headline cards, being able to be a dominant champ that people respected, she did wonders for that. So yeah, shout out to the Lioness. She gets to go off with her family. She went out on top, double champ forever. Thank you to the GOAT. Now, we had some other things happen on this UFC 289 card, like the return of Charlie Olives. Now, somebody tell me why Beneil Dariush was, I didn't do a preview, but there is no way. If I would have known that Beneil Dariush was the favorite against Charlie Olives, do you know how much money I would have put on the line? Do you understand? That is the easiest money ever. No disrespect to Beneil. But as Islam said after the fight, there is levels to this. There are levels to this. Y'all must have forgot. Charlie Olives lost to Islam. Not some number 11th rank. He lost one fight to the dominant champ. And y'all thought it was done? Y'all forgot everything he's done? This is Charles Oliveira. Most finishes, most bonuses in UFC history, and he is in the peak of his powers. Y'all must have forgot. So y'all had the audacity to say Beneil was the favorite? Come on. Let's be serious. So no, I was not shocked when I found out that Charlie Olives got the round 1 TKO with strikes. Was not surprised at all. This is Charlie Olives. He is still one of the best fighters on God's green earth, and certainly one of the best in that division, if not the second best. And I think him and Islam are going to run it back. And we will see what happens. I'm not saying Islam is, completely infallible. He looks very, very good. He looks near unstoppable. But this is Charlie Olives. Put some respect on the future UFC Hall of Famer's name. Benil, like him, but, you know, like I said, levels. All right, there are levels to this thing. Canada has a prospect at welterweight. And I'm not talking about Rory McDonald. This is not 2012. But Malott looked really good. He got a round 2 sub versus Fugit. Looked really, really good. They went crazy for him in the arena. So, yeah, I had to mention that. Shout out to Malott. Looked really, really good. Could be a guy that, you know, we're talking about. Of course, welterweight's got contenders. They got talent. So, yeah, looks like he's going into the Shark's tank. And we'll see if he sinks or swims. We'll see if he survives. And if we'll be talking about Malott a lot more here on the 815 exchange. But, as I hold up a flash drive for no apparent reason, we had to round up this card. Dan Inge returned, got a UD, looked decent. Chris Curtis as well. We have to talk about that eye cut, which was, I'm not going to pop up. That's also why I put it in this and not like one of the major ones, because I did not want to subject you to having to see someone's eyelid cut open, because that was gruesome. But if you want to look at it, I'm sure it's out there on the internet, but I'm not going to. But that was a no contest. And, you know, at first I was like, but, you know, when I really looked at that, yeah, nah. For the safety of him and the potential of him not having an eyelid anymore, probably the right idea to just let him go get stitches on that, and we can run this back another time. But, yeah, wishing the best for Chris Curtis's health, because that was a gruesome cut. But that was combat sports, a great week in combat sports. Teo's back. The Lioness retires on top, and Charlie Olives is still Charlie Olives. Y'all must have forgot. Last week, in the world of soccer, I said Man City was winning the treble. I'm not even going to show you a replay of that, because I've been saying it for the past, 20 or so episodes. Listen, Man City won the treble, okay? Really no surprise. I will say Inter kept it a lot closer than I thought this had the potential to be doing. I don't know why they subbed off Alessandro Bastoni. He was doing a great job. Haaland was not a factor. He's always a factor in terms of being a threat. But Haaland was not like the machine in this. Like the inevitable goal-scoring merchant that just cannot be... He was not, probably going to win the Ballon d'Or this year because they won the Champions League. But he looked human. The machine looked human. They took Haaland out of the game. It was a great job by Simone Inzaghi. It was great. Great game plan. However, they could not finish. They could not create offensive opportunities to save their life. And they let Pep and Man City just sit with the ball way too much. 1 goal scored in this Champions League final. And it was by the man who ended up being player of the season, or player of the competition, should I say. Rodri with an absolute beautiful curler that I feel like I've seen him score way too many times. Off the rebound, and yeah, it was a great shot. Curled around 2 defenders, and that's all it needed. That's all they needed. Inter just did not have the creativity, and they did not have the luck. Listen, Big Rom, he's got Megan the Stallion. He scored there, but I guess he spent all of his goal-scoring prowess on getting Meg and not on scoring goals. Because once again, ladies and gentlemen, you know how I have that list of most dangerous people in the world? If I put least dangerous people in the world, big game Romelu Lukaku would be on that collage. Because he ain't him. Alright, Lukaku in a major competition, when it has to be done, when it comes down to it, is just he's not a threat. He's not a threat. He's going to screw it up. I'm at this point concerned that we can have an open net for Lukaku. Goalkeeper has been caught out, and Lukaku might sky it. He might sky it. 10 feet inside the box. He might sky it. He might hit the post. He just cannot score. Cannot get out of his own way in major competitions for whatever reason. Big Rom is just not him when it matters. He didn't even start this game. I don't know why, by the way, Checo started this game. He was a non-factor. And honestly, Inter, for everything I've just said about Big Rom, when they put him in, their offense finally started creating chances. Gave them their best opportunities. Unfortunately, they couldn't convert them, and I feel like they didn't unlock Lautaro enough, which, of course, credit to the Man City defense for doing a great job on him. But I feel like there's things offensively, as well as they did defensively sometimes, in how they played. They needed to be more clinical, and they needed to create a little bit more where they could have against Man City, and they didn't. and they didn't take advantage of the opportunities, and it cost them. It cost them. This was almost a winnable, honestly, a winnable game for Inter. This was not the, absolute monster Man City that was just unstoppable and put fear into the hearts of Real Madrid and Man United. This was not them. But it was still good enough. Shout out to Pep. Good enough game plan, and they defended well enough to get the clean sheet. Ederson made some great saves, and they did enough to get the win and win the Champions League. So, yeah, congratulations to Man City at the end of the day. Like I said, Haaland, even though he was pretty much a ghost nearly in this game, will probably be your Ballon d'Or winner this year, and I can't say that he does not deserve it. But, yeah, Man City, as expected, they were the treble. Pep, one of the greatest of all time, and Man City, just a phenomenal, phenomenal team. As much as we want to talk about oil money, they got it done. What can we say? The other big news in soccer was, Messi decided. Messi decided, and he's still not going to Barcelona, fans, so I'm just so sorry, Barca fans. It was so bad that Barca legitimately put out I have never in my life seen a team put out a PR statement for a player not going to them. That is insane. That is insane. Now, I know the fans are probably going to be like, oh, why didn't we sign him? But listen, that is outrageous. For a player to not go to you and have to put like a full-out PR statement, that it was his decision, blah, 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 blah. That's insane. But anyways, Messi's coming to the MLS. He's coming to America. He's coming to Inter Miami. He's going to the 305, which is the best thing that has happened to the 305 in 2 weeks, and especially today. But we will talk about that for the NBA segment. But Messi headed to Miami. Very exciting news as someone that lives here in America. Unfortunately, ticket prices for that Charlotte FC game are, insane. But we will see. We will see. Hopefully I get to see Messi here with Miami. Going to be interesting as they are the worst team in the MLS. However, Messi is probably far and away the best player in the MLS. So we will see what happens. But yes, end of an era in Europe, for sure. Ronnie's gone, Benz is gone, and now Messi's gone. So yeah, new era begins. It's going to be a very interesting season next year without what has pretty much run football for the past 20 years just about. So yeah, going to be interesting. New era. The new era begins. Now, with football out of the way, let's talk about track. All right, let's talk about track and field. The NCAA Track and Field Championships were this past weekend, and well, Arkansas. Oh, Arkansas. Man, oh man. After Arkansas swept, they had been up. They got the number one female high school track and field athlete in the United States, committed to them, Shanti Jackson. She's running pro times. They swept indoor, both men and women. Everything was looking good for Arkansas. They were in a great position, heading into the NCAA championships. Could they do it again? Could they get the full season, full year sweep? They blew it twice. They blew it twice. Florida wins the men's title and hook 'em horns. Texas wins the women's title, and let's talk all about it. All right, let's talk about how this happened. 4x4. It was a given, okay? The 400 team for Florida the past pretty much entire time I've been in college have been legendary. Only time they've even been challenged is when A&T had Trevor Stewart and Randolph Ross like 2 years ago, right? That was and Daniel Stokes and everybody. Like, that was the only time, all right? That was it. That was the only time anybody could even touch Florida's 4x4 team or beat them. Since then, they have dominated that category. Dominated. And it has spearheaded their success. And it spearheaded their success once again here in the NCAA championship. The 4x4 team, of course, once again sets the collegiate record with a 2:57.74, which is 2 minutes 57 seconds and 7/400ths or whatever you want to say. But it's the collegiate record. Again, their own record. They broke their own record. Ryan Willie, Bam Dilly, oh my goodness, wins the 400, beat Willie. Wasn't a collegiate record there, but again, another really, really high time. But again, nobody's really going to touch that Michael Norman fight on time. But Florida's 400 team once again spearheads it. Bam Dilly, Willie, like I said, Jacquard, it's ridiculous. All right, the talent they had on that team, legendary, all-time team. They spearheaded them. But in that 4x4, I would be amiss if I did not speak on Arkansas. What in the world? I mean, you just had to get you could have won because it was a game in Florida was going to win. You just needed to do decent. Maybe podium. You would have probably been able to live with a 4 or 5. Not last. All right, let's talk about falling off athletes. Matt Boland. Indoor 200-meter champion twice over. I mean, he was the most hyped track prospect we've had in some time to go to college. And I feel like he just stagnated. Somewhere along the line of Georgia, he just stagnated. Didn't make the final. Georgia was a non-factor here in the championships. Didn't even make the finals in 200. Indoor 200-meter champion, but does not make the finals. I don't know if he was injured or what, but he wasn't that guy. Micah Williams, phenom early on at Oregon, wasn't that guy this year. Javante Harding, wasn't that guy this year. I mean, what happened? AOD for Arkansas. The great decathlete was a non-factor. Wasn't even the Arkansas representative in the decathlon. We will talk about who won that. Shout out to Leo. Non-factor. Ran the 4x4, ran an awful split. They end up in last. I mean, what happened? I don't know if it was COVID took away from development or what happened, but some athletes truly stagnated this year, and it was interesting to see who rose out of the ashes. And it had a big influence here on the NCAA championships. But yes, Florida wins the men's title. Leo Nogenbauer beats Kyle Garland with the collegiate record, by the way, 8,835 in the decathlete. That was a very great matchup, and kind of an end of the era in the decathlon where we had a bunch of some of the greatest decathletes probably in collegiate history all at one time. Of course, unfortunately, Garland will be heading to the pros as he's graduated from Georgia, but Leo will be around for another year, but it won't be the same without Kyle to push him and them just kind of going back and forth. And even when AOD was in his prime, yeah, it was just a lot of fun. But Leo, one of the best performances of the week. Women's side, of course, I said Texas won, and boy, oh boy. One girl that's been a superstar since coming and has not fallen off is Julien Alfred. All right, Juju was still Juju. She won the 100, the 200, and the 4x1. Spearheading Texas to the win, and of course, the most outstanding athlete. Yeah, she should probably win the Bowerman. I'm going to be completely honest. With Jasmine Moore being upset by Keely Smith, another reason why Texas won. Adelike upsetting Britton Wilson, who was dealing with a shin injury, and maybe I think that kind of had an influence on her in the finals, where she went from collegiate record holder to second place and just not having it. Just not having it at all, to be completely honest, on Saturday after she was Money in the Bank on Thursday. So, don't know what happened there with Britton. Think it may have been the shin, but Adelike takes advantage with a 49-20 to upset her. Keely Smith, like I said, beat Jasmine Moore in the long jump, even though Jazz did get her 7th national championship in the triple and the collegiate record as well. But yeah, Texas, Juju, phenomenal. They showed up. It was their home meet, and they protected home track advantage, whatever you want to call it. They showed up big time. They came and performed. When it mattered most, the Texas girls showed up, and that is why they were the national champions. But yeah, track season over. Well, it's not over, but collegiate track season is over. We will see, what happens in the offseason, who goes pro, who stays, what's the setup. And, of course, we got Diamond League stuff to talk about, so we will be talking about that as we go on. But that's it for the NCAAs. Congrats to Florida and Texas. Now, with that said, that brings us to entertainment. The Idol. Tedoris Abel is still an absolute menace. All right, the last 5 minutes of this show were outrageous. All right, was some of the wildest. Wild, just wild, bro. I can't even speak about it in full detail because I don't want to get demonetized on this video. Okay, it was just, my goodness. Abel was wilding at the end of this episode, wilding. The dirty talk, just wow. that last 5 minutes was wild. Jocelyn continues to crumble, but you know what? I like this episode a lot more than the pilot. A lot more. This one was actually almost a decent hour of television. Last week was like, I don't know about this. I don't know if we're making it. But this one was a lot better. It was a lot better narratively. It was a lot better dialogue. It was just a lot better. All right. Somewhat got close to hitting its stride, so we will see. More episodes like this will be more positive for the idol and kind of help repair, even though it still has its, moments of like, do we really need to go this far? But, yeah, Jocelyn's situation was an interesting, very true, by the way, kind of look into, an artist's struggle and kind of being a child star to, major superstar and dealing with the pressures and the mental struggle. Really, really intriguing. They told a great story there. Lily did a great job there. Diane continues to be one of the most compelling characters on this show. Shout out to Jenny. Don't know how she pulled it off, unironically, but you know what? Shout out to Jenny. That's my girl. But yeah, Diane turned out to be evil. She's working with Todorus. We will see what happens there. They only gave us like a little preview of that. But yeah, The Idol was a lot better this week. We will see what happens. Appel, you are a menace. If you know, you know. I did listen to music. Nothing too crazy came out this week, but I did listen to the Spider-Man album on the way to the 704, which was where I was for the weekend. Danger Spider featuring Offset and Jid, and Silk and Cologne featuring 8 and Offset. Shout out to Sway, by the way. He was all over this. Probably my 2 favorite songs, but yeah. It was a really, really good album. Probably one of my favorite movie soundtrack albums, like up there with like OG Black Panther. So shout out to Metro. He did his thing. It was phenomenal. No rating, of course, because it was like a movie soundtrack, and that really wouldn't be fair, but it was really, really, really good. Probably did miss. I still got like a few more songs to listen to, but I don't think he really missed. So the whole movie soundtrack might be playlist worthy, to be completely honest. Certainly the 2 I mentioned, but yeah, Metro did his thing. Shout out to the boy. That was entertainment. Now, you know what time it is. I don't have to hype it up. NHL, Stanley Cup Finals. We are going to Game 5 tomorrow. NBA is tonight. So yeah, NHL is tomorrow. The Vegas Golden Knights. We talked about Jack Eichel last week and the week before. But Ike hasn't been the guy. Well, he was in Game 1, but he hasn't been the guy for Vegas in this series. No. It's been Jonathan Marchand. Okay? Marchese has been phenomenal. Alright, I had to give him a shout out. He wasn't, he didn't have like a hat trick or anything here in Game 4. But he has still been that guy. So shout out to Marchese before I talk about Stevenson getting 2 Gs. Mark Stone, once again, being just Mark Stone. Brilliant. He's brilliant. All right, 2 apples for him and 2 apples for Haig. The Vegas Golden Knights are flying. All right, the Golden Knights are flying, and they are now up 3-1 on Florida, and it looks like they might be bringing home their first ever Stanley Cup tomorrow. Because they have just been on a different echelon from the Florida Panthers in this series. They have just been that much better. I'm not saying it's been a large gap, though it has been at times, but they've just been better. Similar to the NBA, they've just been better. They've been the better team, offensively, defensively, goalkeeping. They have been better. They've been better. Simply put, we will see what happens, but Vegas could close it out. And we could be talking about a Golden Knights championship for next week's episode, but we will see. We will see, but Vegas looking really, really good. Lord knows who's winning the Conn Smythe. It might be Aiden Hill at this point, because he's been great. But yes, looking good for Vegas. They got the momentum. Cam, Florida, throw it off and inspire some hope and maybe, just maybe, stretch this to 7 games. We will see. We will see. But we all know what y'all came for. No, you came to hear me talk about the NBA, okay? This is what you hear. You may have skipped to this segment, okay? Welcome. We're here. Game 5. Where do I start? The Denver Nuggets win 108-95 over the Miami Heat. Aaron Gordon is playing like a top 5 pick. Who would have seen it? It only took 8 years, all due respect to AG. He's been a good contributor. He hasn't been a bad player. AG's had his moments. But boy, oh boy, when it matters here in the NBA Finals, has he come alive. We spent a lot of time, and the media spent a lot of time talking about the Miami Heat's got all these role players, all these players they developed that have become contributors and have made this such a great nucleus. We have talked about that endlessly and kind of overshadowed the Nuggets guys. But they came out in full force here in Game 4. Aaron Gordon had 27, 7, and 6. Bruce Brown, who is, by the way, I need to say this, not Lana Rhodes' baby daddy. That is her man's currently, but that is not her baby daddy. I don't know if y'all just do not know how genetics work or if you do not have eyes. The baby who clearly looks like Blake Griffin is in fact, I don't know, maybe you didn't know, but I know, here it is, Blake Griffin's kid. I know, shocker, stunning information. The kid that looks just like Blake is Blake's kid. Wow. Shocker. But Bruce Brown has been hooping. Alright, the boy from the 305, he has been hooping. He has showed up big time. He has been really the third element for this Denver team. When MPJ has been a ghost sometimes, Bruce Brown has been a model of consistency. So shout out to BB, because he's been him. 21 points in his past game, came out big time, especially after Joker fouled out, after having only a mere 23 and 13, which at this point is almost a down game for Nikola Jokic. But Brown came up big time, AG came up big time. Jimmy Butler had 25, 7, and 7. I said he needed to be a little bit more clinical, which he still needs to, but this was better, all right? He was a little bit more efficient, still wasn't enough. Bam had 20 and 11. I really can't even put the game on those two, because we always talked about, let's check in on those Heat role players, shall we? Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, who are starting for the Miami Heat, they were a combined 1 for 10 in this game, 0 for 7 from 3. So absolutely thrilling stuff from the two 6-man, just garbage. They were garbage. Okay, I'm not even going to be sarcastic. They were garbage. Ass. Garbage. Straight. No other way to sugarcoat it. I mean, they were just terrible. Terrible. And that's not going to win an NBA championship. It's not. The Heat are overmatched. To be blunt, they are way overmatched. The Nuggets got it in the bag, I think, tonight. So, I really should have worn black, but you know what? We got a black case. We got a black desk. We got a black chair. We got a black phone. This is enough black for the funeral. That is the Miami Heat's NBA Finals chances this year, because they died tonight. The Denver Nuggets will be NBA Finals champions. They will be NBA champions. The drought will be broken, and we will be celebrating them and talking about their accomplishments next week on episode 150. Because, yes, the NBA season ends tonight. All right? That's what I've taken from the past couple games, from the past week. It's done. They're done. It's over. Nuggets are better. Joker, congratulations on the NBA's Finals MVP. I'm saying that ahead of time. We can replay it back once again and see if I'm right, but I probably am going to be right, let's be completely honest. We love a Roundup. We do love a Roundup. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Roundup. Of course, we're starting with motorsport. No F1 this week, but we did have NASCAR. We were at the Sonoma Road Course, and Martin Truex Jr. gets it done. He prevents Kyle Busch from winning a second straight race for, I think, the second time this year. But MTJ, he gets it done. He was him. He was the best car all day, led the most laps. And yeah, great performance from MTJ. He gets his first win of the season, gets him, of course, into the chase or into the playoffs, should I say. Speaking of that man named Chase, he needs a win. He needs a win with all of the point deductions Hendricks had, with the time he's missed. He needs to win. Now, he was top 5, building momentum. I wouldn't doubt out Chase Elliott from not winning a race the rest of the way, but yeah, Chase needs a win. It's becoming more apparent. And yeah, we're going to see what happens. But MTJ gets it done at Sonoma. French Open, Novak Djokovic. Novak breaks the record. And honestly, as much as I love Roger, and he will forever be my favorite tennis player ever, if you call Novak the GOAT, I am not going to really argue with you at this point. He wins his 23rd major title, breaking the tie with Rafael Nadal for the most ever. Yeah, he beats out Cusp. I mean, he beat the future pretty much of the sport in the semi and in the final. He beat Ruud in the final. Carlos and him played a phenomenal 2 sets. And then Carlos started cramping. And Novak, once again, at 36, still the fitness just on a different level. While Carlitos' body started to fail him. That was all she wrote. Novak went in for the kill, got it done. Hopefully Carlitos, who has a very, very bright future, as potentially the definitive player of his generation one day, gets in better condition ahead of Wimbledon, which will be next. But it's still Novak's time. He is still that guy. they're catching. They're getting closer. But still, it's Novak. It's always been Novak. It's always going to be Novak. The Joker. I mean, the Jokers are running wild. Jokic. It's just their time right now. But yeah, Novak wins the French. He becomes the first man to win each of the majors 3 times. So each major 3 times, at least. So yeah, shout out to Joker. Arguably the greatest to ever do it. Iga Swiatek is the one. Okay, she's the one. I don't know if I said it before, but she is the one. At least she's the new queen of clay. But the 22-year-old, actually she might be 21 because she's younger than me. Wait, no, she's had a birthday. So yeah, she's 22. We're both 2001 babies. But yeah, she becomes the youngest 4-time major winner, I think, since Serena. She beats out Machova in straight sets, wins her 3rd French Open, 4th major title. So yeah, Iga, she's her. She's been the #1 player for a minute. Pretty much has a pretty firm grip on that. We'll see if the Queen of Clay, the new Queen of Clay, can keep it going at Wimbledon. But yeah, Iga, she's her. She's taking over. Welcome to her era. Let's talk about NCAA baseball, shall we? Of course, I would be amiss if I did not talk about the beating that Wake Forest put on Alabama yesterday to advance to the College World Series. I mean, 22-5. I came back from Charlotte, turned the game on, and it was a home run every time I looked. There was 13 home runs in this game. 13. For people that cannot watch a baseball game in full and needed more excitement, this was the game for you. It was not a particularly close game, but it was very entertaining because every other at-bat was a home run. 9 home runs for Wake Forest in this game. Brock Wilken hit 3 of them, breaking the ACC record for most home runs all time with 70. He's at 30 for the season. Shout out to Brock because he was in full effect. Bama just, could not get out of the way, and they got destroyed. All right. Once again, they hit 4 home runs themselves, but that was not enough. Wake's offense was just on a tirade, an absolute tirade. And yeah, destroyed Bama. They head to the College World Series. UVA and LSU also advanced. UVA taking out Duke, LSU taking out Kentucky in a really close game, but Dylan Cruz came through. Oral Roberts upset Oregon. I guess if you want to call it an upset, they also advanced to the College World Series. So shout out to Oral Roberts, not one of the major schools, but you know what? Baseball opens up a lot of opportunities for some of those quote-unquote mid-majors to get it done. They're headed to the College World Series. So yeah, we got 4 tickets booked. We will see what happens today and where that goes. But yeah, college baseball continues to excite. It's been an exciting season. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for episode 149. Like I said, it was a very packed one. We had a lot to talk about, but I hope you guys enjoyed. But without further ado, Ocho, signing off.